Okay, so I've actually been in like a very big Metal Gear Solid mood lately, and I plugged in the PS2, threw in Metal Gear Solid 1 for the PS1 on it, and I just finished it recently. I just wanted to share my thoughts because, oh my god, this game has aged like fine wine. I'm usually very hesitant when it comes to replaying games from this generation, specifically the N64, PS1 era of games. I feel like most games at that time are very like a lot visually they haven't aged well, even like game mechanically they're very janky. Like most people talk about these games very fondly because of like nostalgia, they grew up with these games. Fair enough. There's a couple of games in this era that I like as well, Zelda of course. I was very hesitant to replay this just because it was in that transition between like 16-bit pixel sprites to polygons, and then eventually like real life semi-realistic photorealistic type of games and experience that we get. But no, this game has aged very, very well. And I feel like, looking back on it, I feel like it was way ahead of its time coming out compared to other games during that period. The shooters, stealth-based action games, this game is like far ahead of like games like, I don't know, GoldenEye and I don't know, other, I can't think about it, like just most games in general, to be fair. This game is so good. It was in that first wave of games that came out. For those who don't know, like Hideo Kojima is known for pretty much propelling the genre forward in the gaming landscape as a whole. You look at games like The Last of Us, God of War, Uncharted, they feel like movies, right? Metal Gear Solid 1 was like in that first wave, if not the catalyst of creators, and Metal Gear Solid being that title to like push games into that that genre where games can be interactive movies, if not even better than watching a movie because you're actually interacting with the game itself, the experience itself. Especially since like Snake Eater Delta is coming out very, very soon, which I'm excited for as well. And this is the best time to jump into the Metal Gear Solid bandwagon, I can't lie. But yeah, for those who don't know, this is actually not the first chapter of the Metal Gear series. This is actually the third chapter. This is mostly like 90% of people, this is their first Metal Gear Solid game. You don't really have to play the original games on the NES, and I think it was on like a Japanese exclusive console as well. But all you have to know is that like, you know, okay, so you play as Solid Snake. He's this super soldier who works for this elite like task force called Foxhound. The leader of the task force is called Big Boss. He's like the big #1 dude. Turns out he goes rogue. You get sent out to a place called Outer Heaven. You kill Big Boss. And then that's like pretty much the premise of the OG Metal Gear games. Metal Gear Solid 1, the premise is, again, you play as Solid Snake again, returning. It takes place in Alaska. These group of terrorists who were actually a faction of Foxhound, the group that you were a part of at one point, they defect. They pretty much become terrorists. They take over this base in Alaska where Metal Gear is held, which is like this basically... It's basically like this giant nuclear walking battle tank. Just very, very, very dangerous. So pretty much as Snake, you have to infiltrate this base in Alaska and solve this nuclear conspiracy that's going on. You have like one night to do so. And that's pretty much the premise of Metal Gear Solid 1. It's very, very simple. Solid Snake as a character, I was going to call him Snake because there's other Snake codename characters as well. Snake himself, he's cool. He's in that like archetype of, you know, like that badass, like smooth talking, super soldier spy. He flirts a lot with the girls in the games, but he still gets the job done, and he's still like elite at what he does. He's the best of the best. In his body, he has something called a nanomachine, which is basically like the magic of this world. It gives him like that extra recovery, that extra strength, the extra speed. It makes him like resilient to like cold weather and harsher environments. It's fictional magic in this world, and as we follow the narrative, like we learn more about his past and who he's related to within the story of Metal Gear Solid. Let's just say he's a part of a bigger narrative than he thought he was. And although Snake himself is his own character in the story, the way the exposition is dropped within the story as you play the game, Snake is also kind of like a vessel for the player himself / herself to play. And there's a lot of exposition that is given. This game is very, very dialogue heavy, I can't lie. Snake tends to repeat a lot of like the basic information that's given to you in a more simplified term, because again, there's a lot of military and political jargon that's thrown into you. It can be a bit overwhelming if this is like your first type of like military-esque style of game. Again, most people that I spoke to were like 12 when they played this, and they got the hang of it anyway. And as you traverse the base, as you move through Shadow Moses, which is the island that you're infiltrating, you rescue characters, you try and save characters, you bump across like characters from the past, from previous games, which they allude to, which is pretty cool. Even as like someone who's never played the previous Metal Gear original games, they still do enough for you to still care about what's going on in the story without even needing to play the games behind. They do enough to drop enough like exposition context within the game for you to care about certain returning characters without you having to play the previous game, which is pretty cool. And the cast of characters in this game are elite. The character designs, just the cast in general are like so distinct from each other. Usually like when it comes to like ensemble of like rogues, usually you have like one standout, and while the rest are all fodder sub bosses, Everyone in this story is actually very, very compelling, and you can kind of sympathize with them, even though they're technically seen as bad guys and terrorists. For those who have watched an anime called Demon Slayer, season 1 and season 2 specifically, how like Tanjiro finds out about these demons that are hiding and killing people, and they're super violent, and then like once you beat them, you get to know about their past. They're actually like really, really like, I guess, regular, normal human beings with like their own stories to tell. And like you feel very, very sad like when you actually like beat them and some of them die. And you're like, oh man, these guys weren't like monsters after all. That happens a lot in this game. The cast members in the game are elite. You got Vulcan Raven, who's like this like giant wench shaman with like a Gatling gun. Really, really dope boss fight. It reminds me a lot of like the Arkham City Mr. Freeze fight, where like you're running across like this giant like frozen chamber / warehouse, and you're just trying to like use all your arsenal and gadgets to take this one big guy out in this giant suit as well. That was cool. You had Sniper Wolf, like the super sexy, cunning sharpshooter of like the rogues. She had like a really cool like cinematic moment as well. Revolver Ocelot as well. If you're a fan of like Western Revolver gunslinger shooter guys, yeah, Ocelot's like the guy. It's really surprising. Like he's just kind of seen as like a regular goon in this story, but again, like Ocelot's one of those guys who has like a big part to play in the rest of like the Metal Gear narrative, which is pretty cool. Cyborg Ninja, the Rogue Ninja, he's a bit of a mystery, but his character design is so lit. It's so epic, bro. Again, the best things you can do is just merge cyborgs and ninjas together, and you got Cyborg Ninja. His story is very, very compelling. He's definitely like one of the highlights for me personally in the game. His design, his voice actor, his cutscenes, his his appearance in general is super anime. I love it. And of course, the final boss, the main antagonist of the story, is a dude called Liquid. There's a lot of mystery to him with his origin, and it's really, really cool, like how they reveal his story, how he's related to like the overall plot. Again, I don't want to say anything because this is a spoiler-free review. His design is very, very cool as well. He's this guy. He's here to do business. Let's just say that. I think Liquid's more like a typical like fusion of like an anime villain with like a typical like James Bond villain. Merge that together, you have Liquid. And gameplay wise, I want to see like 90% of the game itself was very, very entertaining. And it was very, very breathable as well. I never got burnt out playing this game. It took me around about 8 to 10 hours, I want to say, just because I died so many times. Stealth games are not my forte. I do it because of the narrative and the experience, but stealth games, oh my god, like I'm the kind of guy who just runs and guns a lot. And then after like 10 deaths, you realize, okay, you have to slow down. That happened to me a lot in this game, specifically in the beginning, just because like it's been a while since I've played a game like this. The key is to go slow. You're not supposed to kill everyone and shoot everyone. It's tactical espionage action. If this is a game series where you want to keep action at a minimum and stealth at a high. Just don't get caught. Just don't do anything that's unnecessary. And you do pay the price if you do anything unnecessary. And gameplay wise, yeah, this is a very unique experience. It has like this top-down camera further back from like your typical like over-the-shoulder view when it comes to like an action game. All you have pretty much is a pistol. You eventually get a FAMAS machine gun during your playthrough, a cardboard box, and your radar at the top right of the screen. You could say 90% of the time you're going to be watching the radar rather than like the main like monitor / TV while you're playing. That could be like the one downside, because the radar itself is the lifesaver. It tells you where all your enemies are, where they're looking, their field of view, everything, cameras, mines, items, and so on. And the game itself does utilize its stealth mechanics very, very well. You have items like boxes where you can like hide in. They do it in a very smart way where like if your box is labeled with the wrong label of like the floor / building you're in, the guards will come up to you, they'll figure out, they'll be like, why is this box in the wrong like building? They'll take the box off and you'll get caught. That's cool. That's very neat. That's such a cool like concept to have in a stealth game. So that was again just something cool to say. Other things is that, you know, you're leaning against the wall, there's guards in the area, you want to divert the guards' attention, you're leaning against the wall, press the circle button, knock behind you on the wall, they'll come towards you, you can run around and make your escape. Like even when like you're walking through the snow and guards are like walking around, your footprints are still like in the snow as you walk. So if they walk past your footprints, they'll know someone's there. They'll call in the radio, and then the radar goes off, and then the entire base is in full alert. You have to run and hide. Another cool, like, neat addition to the game as well. That's sick. I feel like there was like one part of the game where you did a lot of backtracking. It was only for like 2 missions. There's one mission where like you have to, there's like a big like set piece that's happening right now, but because you don't have like a certain item slash weapon, you have to go all the way back at the beginning of the base where you started in the game to collect something, then go all the way back for you to continue. It's a bit tedious, but besides that, and then that happened one at a time, we had to do it twice. Yeah, that got annoying, but besides that, everything else was very, very fun. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid has this really cool, this is with the entire series, but it has this really cool blend of like super realistic tactical espionage mechanics, gameplay and experience, but like at the same time it has like this really cool blend and fusion of like fantastical elements and like fantastical like psychological elements in the game as well. A lot of the villains and protagonists have like these super fantastical abilities where like they can read your mind. One character, legit, it's a fourth wall break where they can literally like read your memory card. He's reading your mind, but it's actually reading a memory card and he's telling you like all the games you've played with Psycho Mantis. That was really dope. A really fun gimmick, I can't lie, and it makes me smile every time. Another character is like called Decoy Octopus, where he can like transform, kind of like Mystique from the X-Men. Like he can completely like change looks to be a different character. Again, Cyborg Ninja. He's like an anime robot ninja with like a sick like electrical sword. In a day and age where voice acting was still very new to the medium of games itself, and in a time where there was a lot of bad voice acting during those days when it comes to like, I played Resident Evil 1 before this, and it's night and day. Like, go watch clips on RE1 compared to this, and it's night and day. This is like, again, this feels like a movie that you're listening to / watching / playing. David Hayter as Solid Snake, his voice is so iconic. It has like this really rough, gritty like aura to it. Bro, the guy's a complete chad, I can't lie. And yes, although this series does like turn into like a mega franchise after Metal Gear Solid, with Metal Gear Solid 2, Snake Eater, Peace Walker and so on, Phantom Pain. The first game, I think, acts very well as a standalone. If you just want a one game, one and done thing, and you don't have to play the sequels and stuff. MGS is a very good example of that. The way it ends is satisfying. It does like leave a couple of unanswered questions open, but the main plot beats and main character arcs of the story and side characters come full circle when the credits hit, and you'll be very satisfied leaving it without jumping into the sequels of the franchise. And yeah, I guess that was my little ramble of Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation 1. I think this is definitely one of those occasions where I feel like this would definitely work as a movie adaptation / miniseries, like a HBO 6-episode miniseries. I think it would work. Every episode would cover like a different sub-boss or Foxhound for you to take out, because I think you have about 6 sub-bosses, excluding Liquid Snake. So yeah, I think this will do very well. I would love to see like a remake. Well, there's a GameCube remake, which I want to talk about very soon, because that was actually my first introduction to the series. But that's for another day. Metal Gear Solid 1 for the PlayStation 1. Definitely recommend you guys pick it up. Whether that be the PS1 edition or the remasters on modern consoles. Yeah, I just wanted to ramble about a game that I enjoyed. But yeah, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed. I want to know, who is your favorite character in this game? Because oh my god, there's so many. Like the manual, first of all, colored manuals, like remember those? Ugh, I don't. But the artwork in this game is elite. Who's your favorite character? Look, you got Snake, you got Meryl, you got Camwell, you got Naomi, we got Mei Ling, and then yeah, look, we got what? Liquid, Ocelot, Vulcan Raven, Sniper Wolf, Psycho Mantis, Decoy Octopus. What an elite cast of characters, man. Every character is so lit. Oh, bro, and there's my guy, man. There's my boy Ninja. Where is he? There's my boy Cyborg Ninja. Oh, just, you know what? Just play the game for the characters, just the designs alone. You'll be hooked, and everything else is a bonus. So yeah, well that's me rambling on with MGS. Yeah, that's my review for MGS. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time. Peace. Shoo.